Hi, welcome back to the channel. Michelle, and today I'm going to be doing a homeschool mid-year update for my 5th grade daughter. So we're halfway through the year, so let's get through it. So she finished Handwriting Without Tears. This was, I believe, for 5th grade, if I remember correctly. But I really wanted her to practice her handwriting because it was getting a bit sloppy. And I noticed there were some bad habits she was having because 4th grade we didn't do any specific writing because she was doing a lot of writing. But I think having her slow down and do some intentional writing really helped her improve her handwriting over time. So she finished this. We will not be continuing another handwriting program after this. I think just having that refresher and that slow down while you write so it's legible is important was helpful. She finished that. So let's talk about health. So this year we've been focusing on puberty and just changes because it's that age where I think we need to have more informed discussion about those things. So I do have a video where I talk about the resources I use and the different age ranges I use to talk about that information. I'll link it up above. So I don't have the book right now. I don't know where it went to, but it's this. She finished this book. It's so amazing. This is the first one that I did with both my girls. She was then 5 and my daughter last year, but this is the one we did currently, just her and I together, and it's ages 7 and up, and it's so amazing. A book about eggs, sperm, birth, babies, and families. So it goes more into depth than this book did, but again, I think it went really well, informative, brought topics up that we discussed. She recently read Hair in Funny Places, and this is just about, as the title says, your hair growing. What I like is that it talks about both girls and boys in this. I do want my daughter to have an understanding that boys go through puberty too, that understanding the opposite gender that you identify is important to understand that they're going through changes too. You're not alone in this. I really dislike puberty books that are only aimed at girls or only aimed at boys. So I do like that both those were included. And she's currently working through the American Girl, the Care and Keeping of You Journal 2. I was never a big fan of the first Care and Keeping of You, American Girl, but I think the 2 is really good. It goes more into detail about teenager or preteen issues and things you're going to be dealing with. And I do like that it has a companion journal, which is just more self-reflection, goal setting, habit tracking, things like that. So she's been enjoying those things, and I think it's really informative and exactly what we need to be talking about at this point of her development. So that is health. Let's go into math. She's finishing up Dimensions 4, and she's almost done with 4A. And again, she is on 4, that's just where she is. She public school K through 2nd. And when I brought her home for 3rd grade, so we had to do some backtracking. So we started 3rd grade with Dimensions 2 and been going in that pattern since, and it will completely even out in middle school. I'm not concerned about the leveling at all. I'm more concerned about her understanding the topics. So is math her favorite? No, but she gets through it. And I don't want to sound like that's horrible, but she's just not a fan. Language arts is definitely more her preferred subject, but Dimensions does a great job teaching conceptual math, the understanding of how patterns, how numbers relate to each other, not just this is the method, practice it, move on. So like I said, I think it's doing everything it needs to be doing. She's learning really deep conceptual math, better understanding, and sometimes it's frustrating and hard, and she's learning to persevere through that. I don't think you have to absolutely love everything you're doing, and that's okay. Math may never be her favorite subject, and that's okay. I don't need to bend over backwards trying to find ways to make it super interesting for her or changing it. That sometimes it's okay to just get through it. So she's going, and there are some times where I see her like, haha, I got it. Moments like that where it's not like miserable or anything. It's just not her favorite thing to do, but I think it's doing a great job teaching her math. So we're working through that as usual. So let's move on to what she does like, language arts. So she rotates either Sadler vocabulary, this is level blue, or word letters, and this is grade 4 through 6, I believe. And that's just vocabulary practice because she does read a ton. She always has a book in her hand, so getting things to challenge her vocabulary-wise is sometimes difficult because she's exposed to so much vocabulary naturally through her reading. But we like said their vocab straight to the point. She does a page a day, no complaints there. And there are some words that she's encountered that she doesn't know. And it's interesting because I realized that she knows a lot of the bigger words, but she doesn't necessarily know how to pronounce them because she's only read them in her book to herself in her head. So sometimes I'll have to be like, well, this is actually how we say that word. So that's been interesting. Another part of her language arts is Michael Clay Thompson. So she's almost completely done with sentence analysis. So sentence analysis is the Michael Clay Thompson's version of sentence diagramming. So I've showed this many times before, but she goes through, this is the teacher manual, as you can see. She will go through the different parts of speech, parts of a sentence, the phrases, the clauses, write that information down here. This is the blank, the student version here, a copy of it. So she only has this next week because she does one a week, and I have her do one side. And that's enough. I just want her to practice it so she doesn't lose that skill. And she's almost completely done with it. Makes me kind of sad, which means the only thing we will have left to do for Michael Clay Thompson is, for this level, is the poetry, which I think she'll really like because she really enjoys poetry naturally. So we took a break from the novels in December just because we had a lot going on. But these are great. These were written by Michael Clay Thompson. I really like the different topics he talks about. He talks about, confirmation bias. He talks about credible resources, but aimed at children in a story setting, and it's kind of out there, but she likes it. So we will finish this series up, I think, during the summer when I'm going to be doing an overall grammar review, just because we have a lot going on right now. And I really don't want to push or go through this really quick. I really want to absorb it because I think it's awesome. So that is the plan with that. But again, those sentence analysis have been going really well, and I think it's great practice for her. So into the bulk of her actual language arts. So for one section of it, she's doing Lightning Literature grade 5. You can see right dab halfway through the year. Been going really well. So she's done Number of the Stars. She's done Boy Tales of Childhood. She's done Tripods. And this is the ones I cleaned. This is after the update video I made, and I'll link up above kind of how, I think I did that in October, how things are going. So that's on top of these other books. And then she recently just finished Brown Girl Dreaming. And I think the book selection is good for Lightning Literature. I know some people have some issues with it not being diverse enough, but this is not the only literature my child is exposed to. We go through a lot of things in history, and especially social justice, not to mention she reads a ton. So please don't think this is the only books that she's reading this year. These are the only assigned books she's reading this year. But because language arts is naturally her subject, she can go through it really quick. I really like how this is super independent. She can usually do most of it herself. It has the reading comprehension questions. It has the assigned reading pages, the reading comprehension questions, and then the grammar exercise. If she doesn't understand the grammar exercise, she'll ask me, I'll explain it, we'll go through it, but this is pretty much hands off for me until the end when she finishes the book and we do kind of a literature review. We go over, symbolism, setting, characters, and then there's always discussion questions about the book at the end that we go through together. But this is pretty much independently. I really do like that she's exposed to different types of books. Like, I expect that she would have picked up Brown Girl Dreaming, but she definitely wouldn't have picked up Tripods, which is more kind of like a sci-fi type thing. That's not really her genre she chooses. This, I believe, is more poetry. Oh, no. This she definitely would have picked up because it's literally tales of boyhood. And I think it was good to get her that perspective of what it's like to be a boy as well. And then this was a good discussion book to talk about history and different things going on, because she did have some questions about things in the book. So I think that was really great to bring up those different important things in history that we need to talk about. So that has been going really well. And again, for the first half of the year, she does not do the writing composition for Lightning Literature. For the first half of the year, she does IEW. She starts IEW during the summer, and when she usually finishes right before Christmas, and I will link up above my IEW review. This worked really well for her, so this is her second year of doing it. We will pick up the next level this summer, because what I like to do is for the writing composition, I have her do IEW. When she finishes that level of IEW, because it's only 24 weeks, so it's not a full year. I mean, you could probably stretch it to a full year if you wanted to. It's not the full year. So when she finishes the instruction on that, I pick up the writing assignments. From Lightning Literature. And it's interesting because Lightning Literature is a lot more gentle, hands-off approach to writing. It does not have a lot of instruction in the teacher manual. It does not give a lot of instruction in the student manual. Hence why we brought in IEW, because IEW taught her the structure of writing and kind of the scaffolding to figure out how to write. So she'll take the assignment that is given in here. So for example, the last one she did before break was she had to interview a relative about something about their childhood. So she chose to interview me about being pregnant with her. So it was not, giving birth or anything like that. It was how I felt when I found out I was pregnant, how I did emotionally, not just physically, and how my husband felt during that. So it was an interesting perspective. So she had interview questions. She interviewed me, she interviewed my husband, and then she wrote a three-paragraph paper explaining kind of my pregnancy with her, which I thought was really interesting, definitely something I'll have to keep. But Lightning Literature had her do that assignment over the course of 2 weeks. She did it in 3 days, including the interview and the writing up, because by the time you finish IEW, you can write a 5-paragraph paper within 30 minutes. So this is kind of like downshifting for her. This is easy for her, but it's also practice for her. So if she finishes within 3 days, then she doesn't have writing for the next, week and a half that she would normally have writing. If she wants to finish it early, she can. If she wants to stretch it out over 2 weeks, she's welcome to too. But I found she'd rather just get it done in the kind of pace that IEW has taught her to write. And she still uses all the add-ons that IEW teaches, the ly adverbs, who, which clauses. She still includes all those things. And the great thing about IEW is it has this part in the binder that has the model charts and things like that. And it's in every single binder that IEW, or at least the last 2 we've had, because they just kind of go over the same topics, just more in depth every year. So she has access to all those kind of note-taking things where she can flip back and be like, okay, this is how I retell a narrative story. So she can look back and do that. So this is just practice at this point. It's worked really well for her. It's a great combination for her. She has the scaffolding structure. Now she has the assignment, and she can go off and write what she wants to write. And I know some people say that, with IEW you don't learn creative writing. I disagree. They have opportunities at the level she did to write about her own experiences or her own stories. But I think if you learn how to write well, you can write anything. So I've talked about this in a previous video. She chose to, for her free time, write the beginnings of Peter Cottontail, Peter X. So she wrote a story. She chose to type it on the computer. She's a beginning typer, but she chose to type it. She chose to add graphics, and it's kind of just the beginning story of Peter Cottontail's father, what happened to him. And she chose to, it's front on another page there. She chose to include graphics of his family members. So she drew all the pictures to go with it. So she did all this for fun. So again, I think IEW sets you up with a great base foundation and scaffolding to write whatever you want. So you can go off and write, be creative with your writing if you want to, but as long as you understand how to create that writing, it's so much easier than trying to figure out how to get the stuff in your head on the page. So that's an example of writing. It's gone really well. She's enjoying, downshifting into Lightning Literature. It's super easy for her at this point. And like I said, she usually finishes pretty easy. So language arts is always a hit with her. And then the other 2 things she does is typing, and I kind of alluded to that in her paper, and she just does a free typing program I'll link it below as I always do, but it's worked. I don't feel the need to purchase any type of curriculum. It's free. She likes the little game thing that's a part of it. That's fine. She does typing once a week. Another thing she's been doing is Hoffman Academy, and she's been working her way through that, and she can play basic songs now, but I do like the subscription service does have the practice, the piano theory, not just the videos. So she's been working her way through that, and again, she's enjoyed playing like Jingle Bells for Christmas and things like that. The only other thing she is doing is horseback riding. That is, oh, she's doing Lego League too. I forgot to mention that for my 7-year-old. The library started a Lego League program, which is Lego coding. So it's a whole curriculum. They're going to competition at the end of January to present their builds, and they had to make storyboards and everything. So it's been a lot of fun for both my girls and like my 7-year-old and my 10-year-old. Very different ideas of Lego builds, but they got to incorporate it all. And I do like the coding aspect because I do not know anything at all about coding. That's not my area. So I'm glad that somebody else can teach it and that they can experience. And they've had a lot of fun hanging with the friends, building stuff, and learning how to move the Legos. So she's been doing Lego coding once a week. She's also been doing horseback riding, and that's once a week as well for about an hour and a half, and she's doing really well with that. She rides a full-size horse, and recently she's learning to trot and canter, so that's been a lot of fun. And last week she got to actually do it in the field. Usually she does her lesson in the arena area in the inside of the barn, but she got to do it out in the field last week, and she really enjoyed that, actually getting to ride free range type situation. So I think it's really good for her because she is a more quiet child, but she's very confident when she rides that horse, and she has to really work on communication when she rides that horse, and I think it builds a lot of self-confidence in her. So horseback riding, although probably one of the more expensive extracurriculars, I think works really well for her, and it's a lot of fun. Between watching, a sports, I'd rather watch my daughter horseback riding. I find it a little more entertaining for me. So that is how 5th grade has been going. It's been going well. And I did talk about, I'll link it above, some of the struggles we've had just, with preteen, hormones, attitude changes, and how we're kind of navigating that. But overall, she's a good kid. She's doing her best. We're learning as we go. Open communication, spending time together is important as well. But it's been a great year. We'll continue, hopefully, the second half of our 5th grade year. But if you have any specific questions, leave them in the comments below. If not, thank you for watching.